If you are on a health and fat loss expedition, have you just ever hit a blank at around 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. when you get home after work and you're just so fatigued, you're so exhausted that the last thing you want to think about is what to make for dinner and what meal aligns with your calorie goals, or what meals or foods are going to assist in your fat loss progress. And then because you're so exhausted from making other decisions throughout the day, you've now hit decision fatigue when it comes to your own health and fat loss expedition. You might sit there that evening on your couch eating chocolate and watching Netflix as opposed to having a nutrient-dense meal and think to yourself, well, I lack willpower, I lack self-discipline. Or maybe you think that you don't even want it badly enough. But my friend, with the right systems in place, you can overcome that decision fatigue or work through that decision fatigue and still make calculated choices or have calculated meals that align with your goals. On that note, welcome to today's episode of the Mandy Meyer podcast. As per usual, this is the podcast where we chat all about your health and fat loss expedition and all about ways, strategies, and hacks that you can use that you can start implementing on your health and fat loss expedition so that you can continue seeing progress. Now, let's have a look at what decision fatigue actually is. Well, it's basically like a mental exhaustion that builds up after making hundreds and hundreds of decisions that day. And whilst those decisions may have been very small, micro decisions, all of them add up. And by the time you get home from work, you are mentally drained. You are exhausted. You don't want to make another decision at all. You need to remember that by lunchtime, your brain has processed what to wear, when to leave the house, work decisions. You have processed conversations, messages, notifications on your phone, work stress, family tasks, problem solving, and so much more. Your brain's executive function, the part that helps you make decisions, and maybe the part that is also responsible for self-control, it's worn down, it's tired, it is moeg. And that is why by 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. in the afternoon, you start having thoughts like, I'll start tomorrow again. Or maybe that thought of, I'm just so tired, I'll just have one piece of that fun food. It could also be the thought of, I'm way too tired to cook, let's order in. And after that, you might have the thought of, oh well, I've blown it already, so what's the point? Now that, my friends, oftentimes you will say that it is because you are not disciplined enough. You blame yourself. You will beat yourself up about it. But one thing I really want you to remember is that it is so difficult to remain in control. It is so difficult to practice discipline when you are fatigued, especially when you are mentally fatigued, mentally exhausted. Now, let's have a look at how decision fatigue or being mentally fatigued can actually get in the way of your fat loss. Number one, your food choices become emotional and not logical, if that makes sense. All of a sudden, you are tired. In emotion that you are feeling, all of a sudden, those food choices become emotional. During the period of extreme fatigue, your cravings can also intensify. When you are eating based on emotions or when your cravings are very high, that often leads to overconsumption of calories. Another thing that can happen, as I've mentioned already, that all or nothing mindset can kick in. You can start thinking to yourself, I'm too tired to do it now, I'll just start tomorrow again. And then, of course, it goes without saying that your impulse control or your control does drop because, as mentioned, you are just too tired to try and control everything else after a day of so many decisions that have had to be made. Now you stand there in the kitchen with this fatigued mind. You are exhausted, you're tired, you are drained. And Sally from the printer at work has pissed you off with all her random gossip and stories, and you just can't anymore. You get home, you standing in the kitchen, you start thinking to yourself, what should I eat? how much of this should I eat? Am I allowed to eat this? If I eat this, will I go over calories today? Am I even eating it at the right time? All of these thoughts and questions run through your mind, and it just seems so much after a busy day. And that is where you're like, screw this, I will start on Monday again. Why? Because it's just so much going on in that very given moment. Now, here's some practical tips that I'm going to give you that can help you stay on track on your health and fat loss expedition if you are someone that does experience that extreme fatigue or brain fog or decision fatigue later on in the afternoon or when you get home from work. Number one, pre-decide your meals. Make the decision around your meals when your brain is still fresh. And what you can also do is prep your meals in advance. You can also pre-log those prep meals in advance. And even if you don't prep the meals, you can still pre-log your meals in advance so that when you get home, you know exactly what you are going to cook and how much of it you are going to cook. Add meals on rotation, so rotating menus, so that you don't have to think about making a brand new meal every single night when you get home from work. Choose a couple of meals that you like having that you know works with your calorie goals, and add those meals into your meal planning or onto your menu in rotation. It takes away a lot of the thinking and the guessing. And then stick to a default breakfast or lunch. I know it might sound boring, but just by not having to think about two of your meals for the day, it already reduces so many decisions that you have to make around your food choices. The second thing that you can look at doing is creating an afternoon slump protocol, for example. And that could be something like have water with you so that you can drink it if you're feeling tired. Or always carry a calorie-controlled snack with you so that you can eat that when you do get tired. Or make sure you've got a backup salad or emergency salad or some backup protein that is already prepped in your fridge waiting for you for when you get home from work. Just something to nibble on or graze on whilst you are thinking about or prepping your dinner for that evening. And then the third thing that you can do to help reduce that extreme decision fatigue is reduce your other micro decisions that you make when it comes on your health and fat loss expedition. Pack your gym clothes the night before so you don't need to think about it that same day. Also, pick your gym days and stick to them. Create solid frequency or routine on the days that you go to gym, or the days that you go for a run, or the days that you do your home workout. If you pick it to be Tuesday, stick to it being on a Tuesday so that it sort of becomes automated. Because when it's automated, you think less and less about it. Another thing that you can do to reduce number of decisions throughout the day is keep a standard grocery haul list. So this would be things that are more like your staple kind of things that you will need on a regular basis, especially when it comes to having those meals on rotation. If you have this, you don't need to sit every single day and create a grocery list or a shopping list or any shit like that. And things like this might seem minuscule, but every one decision less that you have to make leaves you with mental space to make other decisions, maybe even other more important decisions when it comes to your health and fat loss expedition. And the last point, or the last sort of thing I want to chat about here, is the design of your environment. If you do not have systems and structures in place for when you get home and you are fatigued and exhausted, the pawpaw is going to hit the fan. So as I mentioned, a system could be something like having a backup salad in the fridge. Or another system could be that you don't keep trigger foods around the house. Another system could be that you have a fruit bowl that is visible on your kitchen counter as opposed to having a cookie jar that is visible. The moment you get into your house after a long day's work, after you've made multiple different decisions throughout the day, you want to walk into a house that has got systems and structure in place that's going to help you make the correct decisions when it comes to your your health and fat loss expedition. And honestly, I will say this again, you cannot go wrong with meal prepping. When you get home and you are fatigued and there is already food that is prepped for you, it is going to be a game changer. Now, I know you're sitting there thinking, oh, but Mandy, I still need to cook for the family, so I'm still going to eat that same food with them. I can't prep meals. No, okay, maybe you're not going to prep your dinners, but then we go back to the emergency backup salad in the fridge or the emergency snack in the fridge that you have specifically made for yourself so that when you get home, you can go and have that whilst you are cooking the dinner, as opposed to raiding the snack cupboard and then not even being hungry by the time dinner arrives. Now, all of this is easier said than done. I know that for a fact, but it's also not going to happen if you don't start actioning it. If you have no systems in place, you are going to have to look at putting some systems in place. If you say to me, oh, but I've never meal prepped before, well, guess what? Maybe, just maybe, it's time to start practicing some meal prepping. And then, as mentioned, have a look at the design of your environment, especially of your kitchen or your snack cupboards, and ask yourself what foods in here trigger me, especially when I am exhausted. Maybe, just maybe, remove those foods until you can get more control. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you like I usually do. Keep smiling, keep laughing, and keep being kind to one another. Much love, your friend who really does love a good system in place, Mandy.